Yo, it is, you know it is. It's your man, King Musa. Welcome back. Actually, introducing my new podcast. And I'm excited to do this with my best friend, but I'm not introducing him yet. Welcome to the Hub Hero, the first episode of the Hub Hero, the podcast where we explore the 7 dimensions of wellness and how they impact life here at SFA, Stephen F. Austin State University. I'm your host, King Musa, and today we'll be kicking off with a very special guest who can provide a comprehensive overview of what wellness means and why it's so vital to our community. The Hub Hero is dedicated to guiding you through each dimension of wellness: emotional, physical, intellectual, social, spiritual, environmental, and financial. Look, these change and have different meanings, but they all mean the same thing. We'll bring you insight from experts across our campus to help you navigate your wellness journey and make the most of your time here at SFA. Today, I'm honored to be joined by my best friend, Dr. Andrew Dees, the Dean of Students at SFA.
That's me.
Thank you for being here, man. So, how's your day before we even jump into
My day's been good. A little rainstorm there earlier, making some moves happen with student affairs, and I'm pinch hitting interim director of Res Life right now.
Yeah.
Solving all the problems of the world, baby. That's what we do.
That's why he's the Hub Hero.
That's why I'm the
You
hub
know?
hero.
So let's get started. To start, can you explain what wellness means in the context of the university setting?
Wellness, and especially when you're channeling the 7 dimensions of wellness, is when everything is in balance. And that doesn't necessarily mean that everything is perfectly at 50-50 across the board when you're looking at the 7 dimensions of wellness. But when you're looking at those 7 dimensions, when one of them is out of whack, they're all out of whack. So keeping them in balance is when you're keeping them all focused. They're all kind of if you're looking at a bubble, they're all staying within their own little bubble.
Right.
And when one of them creeps out of that bubble is when some chaos happens.
Man, I was watching this show yesterday, and there was this lady in the therapy session, and she was just asking her different questions about like her life, her job, and all these other things, right? And I'm sitting there like, if I just gave you an answer, why didn't you just go over what I just talked about?
Mm-hmm.
But then it clicked to me that there's the 7 dimensions of wellness. Mm-hmm. So you can't really understand what's going on in just one area if you don't, value all the other areas.
Well, and so let's unpack that a little bit. Let's say you're hungry,
Mm-hmm.
you're sitting there, you haven't eaten. What is it, 3 o'clock? You haven't eaten all day. Your stomach's growling. What are you focused on? Eating. Like, I need to eat. And then let's say you're stressed.
Right.
Because college students can be stressed. Do you stress eat?
No.
Well, I do. Instagram. And so if there's a random bag of Doritos that wanders by, if I'm hungry and stressed, I'm going to attack it like a lion in the savannah.
You talking about the big bag?
Yeah, yes. Cooler Ranch, of course, not original.
Well, they got the chili one.
The
Sweet
sweet
chili?
lime, those are good.
Yeah.
Not to eat a bag at a time. But so then I eat that bag of Doritos.
Right.
Then my stomach hurts because I ate said bag of Doritos. And so it all is intertwined. So because my stomach hurts, I can't study now because I'm going to go lay down.
Right.
So then I fail the test the next day, which stresses me out. And then I eat more Doritos, and it's a cycle. So, and it's also, we have students here that have to choose between books and food.
Wow.
And so when we're looking at the 7 dimensions, the more we can try to meet them, the more successful students can be. Human beings in general, but the more successful students can be.
That makes a lot of sense. Can you give us an overview of the 7 dimensions of wellness and why each one is important?
Sure. So let's start with emotional. What do you think that is?
That is your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
the things that stresses you out, the mental,
The thoughts, the psychological, the heart, all of that. So physical, that's your physical, your health, the gun shows in town. So working out, like there's tons of research that shows the benefits of working out.
Right.
I give the rec center my $32 every month to not go.
As a donation?
As a donation.
Oh, wow.
Gets me a membership that I haven't used in the 3 years I've been here. And then we have your intellectual, that's your knowledge, that's your learning, not necessarily book learning, but just increasing your knowledge of life and everything overall.
Right.
Socio-cultural, so it's learning different things about people because we're all different.
Right.
Spiritual, that's not necessarily religion, but it's a connection to something greater than yourself.
Okay.
That could be nature, that could be animals, that could be a religion, that could be faith. Environmental is literally the environment. So who the company that you keep, what kind of situations are you putting yourself in? But then the environment, like again, there's a lot of research. So it's getting out in nature, getting sunlight, vitamin D helps to increase everything. And then financial, and we include career in there as well. So, what do you want to do with your life? If you're a senior and you have no idea what you want to do, that's problematic.
That could stress you out.
Right. Or you don't have enough money, or you're taking out X amount of student loans to help pay for your college degree. So that's kind of all of them. And then you can see if they were in one giant Venn diagram, how they all overlap.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. I can see. Why is it particularly important for students to pay attention to these dimensions of wellness during their time at the university?
Because college is a stressful time.
Right.
It's amazing. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to fail a lot. You're supposed to come to college and fail. I was talking with a room full of faculty.
What? You're supposed to come to college and fail?
Correct.
Okay.
So, you ever seen Jurassic Park?
A little bit. Which one?
The first one, the best one.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So and stay with me on this story, the dinosaurs were going around testing the fences, seeing if they were still turned on.
Right.
So they were testing their boundaries. That's what you're supposed to do when you come to college. You come and you learn what your boundaries are when it comes to alcohol.
Wow.
You learn what your boundaries are when it comes to drugs. You learn what your boundaries are when it comes to studying. A lot of students, I didn't have to study in high school. It just came to me.
Okay.
I definitely had to study in undergrad, and certainly in my master's and my doctoral degree. So you start to develop your own set of beliefs and values, start to develop your own set of boundaries. Your beliefs and values may not be what your parents are, and that's okay. Develop new ones, get rid of some, but really just testing those boundaries, because we're in a controlled environment here. There's some things that you could do on any college campus that if you were out in the real world, the consequences would be significantly different.
Yeah.
Versus here, we try to protect you. We've got amazing resources. Our police department is amazing.
Yep.
They do everything they can to prevent lifelong consequences based on the decisions that students are making.
That makes a lot of sense. I like that. What resources does SFA offers to support students in each of these dimensions? Now, I know we ain't gonna go too deep into all these because we will cover them over time, but just kind of give us an overall.
We've got dedicated facilities, we've got dedicated staff, dedicated resources here. The institution so I'm coming up in 2 months, will be 3 years here.
Okay.
And the institution in my time alone has dedicated over $2 million towards student health,
especially
wellness,
that
and
hub
well-being.
building. Mm-hmm. Man, and so I think that's really what highlighted it for me personally, was coming in here. The hub was not a place that I personally felt comfortable going to because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what all the parts of it. But after, returning back to college, last summer, it was a struggle. Like, it was not easy to kind of get back into the hang of college, new friends, new environment, new disciplines and everything else like that. So how important is it for somebody to actually check into the hub or even the dean of students office? Because that's really what got me comfortable, y'all. Like, I had to go see this man, talk to him, and he just put a smile on my face. And then
you want to clarify that? You get to?
What?
You get to come?
Well, I mean, at first I had
At first you had to. That's fair.
Now I get to.
Let us not make it seem like a punishment.
At the time, when you get that letter and everybody got to come see you. But yeah, so how important is this for a student to either come see the dean of students or even go visit the hub?
Well, it's a mad. We've got to correct the environment that we're in, and at least in American society, it's different internationally, but we are not a help-seeking environment.
Right.
So we need to. I don't like the word normalize because I don't even know what normal is, but normalize help-seeking behaviors. And it's scary to ask for help. Asking for help is admitting that you may not know something, admitting that you may not have the skill set to do something, or you're making yourself vulnerable. Certainly here, it's you coming and talking to me, you're admitting all of that to a complete stranger.
Correct.
And so we've got to normalize that. I'm 43 years old. It's still hard for me to ask for help. But there's a purpose to that. There's growth and courage that comes from that.
Ooh.
And so really just normalizing that behavior.
And so how would a person actually conceptually understand, I need help? You know, because until I got in trouble is till I recognized that I needed help. But to be able to identify that in the beginning, like incoming students and everything else like that, where would they kind of have that conception? They just came out of high school. What help would I need? I'm here now.
Well, but Moose, I think you just said it. They're going to make a bad decision, or they're going to make a choice that they wake up the next day and say, oops, that was a bad idea. Or, maybe I'm continually doing something that is not healthy or not productive, or is not going to help me meet my goals. And so there has to be a lot of self-awareness in there, and emotional intelligence,
Right.
and recognizing that I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to wake up and feel anxious and sad every day. And those are all normal, regular feelings. There's nothing wrong with feeling anxious and sad. If you're doing it every day and you can't get out of bed for 3 days, that's entirely different. So it's taking that courage to recognize, and it's something that Oprah says is, I refuse to accept that this is what my life is supposed to be.
Right.
And that takes a lot of maturity and a lot of growth.
Okay. But then let's look at that fear part, right? Do you think there's a stigma or fear in having a therapist going to the hub and things like that? And how can somebody overcome something
Absolutely.
like
There's stigma in asking for help. There's stigma in going to the food pantry,
that? Right.
and getting food, because that's a basic necessity that you don't have. How do you get over it? I can say in my life, I got to a breaking point where I was so stressed out, and this is circa, have we talked about, I don't know, we've talked about this, circa like where was I? I was living in Philly, 2009.
Right.
And I was at a point where I was so angry.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was consumed. I didn't know anything but anger and negativity. And I got to a breaking point, and then I was like, okay, like I'm a hypocrite. I tell students all day long, you need to go talk to somebody. So I had a conversation with myself and I was like, you need to go talk to somebody.
Right.
And so I got into therapy, and it helped me really work through some things. A couple years later, I got on anxiety medication. I'm still on anxiety medication.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do we encourage people to do that? We have conversations like this.
Okay.
I am I like to think, very successful person, certainly well credentialed.
Yes.
And I was in therapy. I think everybody should be in therapy. I take medication for my anxiety.
Right.
It's no different than me taking medication for high blood pressure. It's the exact same thing. Mental health issues are medical diagnoses, so we wouldn't knock somebody for taking something to lower their cholesterol. Why are we knocking them for taking something that's going to help decrease their stress, anxiety, or depression?
I feel that. In the sense of asking for help, I've had a lot of friends who will go explore therapy, and they're shaking in their boots and everything else like that. But something I had to share with them was just like, bro, if you can't tell them what you're going through, how can they help you?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can't open up with and be transparent or be open and honest with a couple things, how can they truly help you? So how would a person work on like honesty and transparency and like openness?
Get over yourself.
Mm.
I hated therapy when I started because I'm usually the one asking the questions, and now I was on the other side of it. I have control issues.
Yeah.
And so it was literally, I'm like, Andrew, you're paying this person
Right.
to listen to you. What are you doing? And then it was really scary because you're telling a complete stranger things you wouldn't tell your best friend.
Right.
And so you have to get over yourself. That's what they're there for. No, I mean, yes, you're paying them, but that's their job. You pay to get a hamburger at McDonald's. What's the difference? There's not.
Is there any comfortability in it? Would I eventually get comfortable with it?
I think that for me, it was like, well, you could not do this and go back to being the way you were before.
Right.
And so it's that perspective that I had to do something because I was in such a dark place. And then eventually I loved it because I'm like, I can come and tell you everything and not have to see you.
Not see you at all.
Give you all my baggage and then not have to see you for 2 weeks.
Yo.
And even if I do see you, and this was in Philly, which is huge, even if I do see you walking across the street, you're going to act like you don't know me.
Correct.
And it's no shade.
Right.
It's not like you tell your best friend that. That's where I have issues, is being open with my friends,
Mhm.
because I'm going to see them the next day. But with a therapist, it's like, I see you in 2 weeks. I walk out of there, I'm a brand new man.
You actually brought up something important. How frequent should a person look into this?
Into therapy or into help seeking?
Yes, help seeking, therapy, all of that.
Well, if we're looking at services we provide here, college counseling centers are not designed for intensive outpatient therapy. None of them are.
Okay.
So, but also most individuals don't need weekly therapy.
Okay.
So we are set up at the hub for counseling.
I needed weekly therapy.
Well, that's fine. Some of us do. But it's, if you need something more intensive, we'll get you referred to off campus. But we've got groups that you could go to group every week. You could have it in your off time where you have your individual session, group, individual. So then you could have that connection on a weekly basis.
Right.
But we've got Timely Care, so you can do the chatting with Timely Care. We've got our crisis line that's there 24/7, 365. You could call them every day
Right.
if you wanted to. And so I think it's the stereotype out there is that you go to weekly therapy appointments,
Mm-hmm.
and you lay on the couch and the white guy behind you sits there writing in his notepad. That's
Right.
not what therapy is. So get that expectation out of there. But work has to be done outside.
Okay.
Just like classes, you don't just, well, in theory, you don't just go to class, you do work outside of class. And so
Correct.
you've also got to do all that work outside of those appointments.
Correct. And I agree with that because it does take that time to apply what they recommend you to do. Like you gotta try it, you're gonna fail a little bit and try to get back to it. What advice would you give a student who is just starting their wellness journey?
Be open to new things. Be open to your values and belief set being challenged.
Mhm.
Because again, that's another point of coming to college, is challenging those belief sets and let go of the control and just let the wind take you wherever it's going to. So it's like you're in a canoe in a river, just let the river take you. See what you can learn, see what you can explore about yourself.
I like that. And so, where would you point them to start?
The hub,
Okay.
definitely the health and wellness hub. Campus Rec is a phenomenal place. You look at the best people on any college campus, it's going to be your Campus Rec folks.
Okay.
They are happy all of the time. They are excited. They understand gym intimidation. They
Right.
understand you're terrified to climb that rock wall.
Right.
But just go and just try new things. Go to the hub, go to a group, access Timely Care. Like there's so many resources that sit underutilized by our students just because they don't know where to start.
What are those resources?
Timely Care.
Okay.
We just got Timely Care, so that's you can get telehealth appointments. There's chat functions in there. We still have Together All,
Right.
which is an online chat function. The groups at the hub. There's tons of different psychoeducational things. There's an app that we have. Like there's just so many different things out there.
I like that. I like that.
All free of charge.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So just a student, you can just
To a student, yes.
what?
You don't have to pay anything additional. You know how much therapy is in the real world? A lot.
Look, if somebody was trying to talk to me about their feelings, I think I would charge them
Charge a lot.
But that's good that it's available for most people. Well, for everybody, for free.
Mm-hmm.
For free. Well, is there anything else you would like to kind of highlight in the Hub Hero so that students kind of understand what they're getting into, what they might be expecting?
One thing I really want to challenge folks on for the internet and the universe out there. We've got a great website off of the Dean of Students site. It's the Lumberjack Wellness Network. There is an A to Z concerns page. Have you been on it?
I've seen it.
No. There is an A to Z concerns page where you can go and there's tons of different things like stress. If you have food insecurity, you go and click on it and it drops down and it shows you the office to go to.
Oh,
So when you're laying in bed at 3:00 in the morning, worried about who do I go and talk to about this, I can go and find it, click the little plus sign, it drops down, it gives you a primary office and a secondary office. Sometimes the biggest thing is I don't know where to go.
right.
You go to the Dean of Students office if you don't know where to go. That's where you go. But that A to Z concerns, all the resources that we have on campus are there.
Interesting. A quick little maybe personal experience. Do you feel like there's some type of separation in like gender, in the sense of like when they're coming to you and asking for help? Is, hey, you're a big tall white man. I don't know if a little.
It's a good question. Men are socialized in this country to not have emotions and to
Right.
never ask for help, to be strong, because if you're not, then you're weak.
Right.
And we're socialized that asking for help is weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And so that takes some reprogramming. And that's not because our parents raised us like that necessarily. I think they could reprogram us early, but if they don't reprogram, then we get that default programming,
Yep.
which is men shouldn't cry, men shouldn't have them. And that's of any race, ethnicity, creed, anything.
Right.
It's heightened for some race and ethnicities, but really it's just we've got to reprogram ourselves. So, we have more women here at SFA than men, as most college institutions do. But really for our men, it's taking the time to acknowledge that it's okay to ask for help.
I like that. Well, thank you, Dr. Dees, for sharing your insight with us today. It is clear that wellness is a multifaceted journey, that we are fortunate to have such a dedicated resource and support here at SFA. That wraps up our first episode of the Hub Hero. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into the 7 dimensions of wellness in future episodes. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on social media, and stay updated. Until next time, take care and prioritize your wellness. Have a great day. Actually, before we go, I'm going to give y'all a little sneak peek of what's coming up next.
Wait for it.
Wait for it?
No, I'm saying the teaser here.
Yeah.
Come on back.
So, which dimension would you want to dive into first? What do you think is the first one out of the 7 dimensions somebody should dive into?
Emotional is the obvious answer.
Yeah.
That. I think if you look at how impactful dimensions are,
Yes.
Emotional and physical are going to be your top 2. So I think if you're really trying to figure out where to go first, it's emotional.
So coming up next, we will have the emotional wellness and what guidance we have for that. Stay tuned, y'all. We'll see y'all next Wednesday. We out.